90% of people in the crypto market are gonna leave it with a loss. I used to be one of them, so I know that all too well. So what am I doing this time around that's different? Well, number one, I am extremely serious about taking profits. In fact, the moment that I start to take profits is very soon, almost upon us. So let me explain in this video what I think you should do in order to make sure that you can leave this crazy market with profits instead of unrealized losses and be left holding crypto bags until the next bull run. So this video is how not to be an idiot like I was a couple of years back. I will show you quite a bunch of metrics that you can use to track to let you know where exactly or roughly we are in the market cycle in terms of the top. And then from that, you can use to create your own personal strategy. For example, mine is I will be taking 1/4 of my portfolio and selling it at equal intervals of time after we reach 10% over the all-time high. Now, bear in mind, I'm already 50% in profit. So anytime I decide to leave, even if it's right now, I'd be fine. Sure, I would miss out on a lot of games, but at least I would have secured my bag. And I just want to give you a bit of context before I start. I am a traditional investor, so most of my investments are not in crypto. I'm just doing this for a little bit of fun with a few percent of my portfolio. And I want to be clear that I think anything other than Bitcoin is complete and utter trash and probably not worth anything. So that's why my plan is to leave this bull market with absolutely zero altcoins. The only thing that I will be holding during the bear market is Bitcoin. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not a crazy moon boy crypto fanatic. This is something that I do just for fun on the side, and my main portfolio is in index funds and ETFs. Sure, that might sound boring to you, but it's done quite well for me. And while I agree that the portion of Bitcoin that I hold will probably increase over time, I still will be mainly more of a traditional investor, as I'm trying to take a more realistic approach to dabbling in the crypto markets. So if that sounds fun to you, let's get into the meat of the video and show you exactly the metrics that I'm gonna look at to determine whether or not and when I will sell. Let's get into it. So what am I looking at? Well, first of all, you need to understand that any of these metrics that I'm about to show you are completely irrelevant unless the S&P and the economy in general stays in a good shape. Because these are just crypto indicators, but crypto is not going to do well unless the economy at large and the S&P and the Nasdaq do well in the meantime. Otherwise, this is all going to crash and burn, and all of this is not really relevant. So if you're looking to see what the crypto market is going to do, first of all, make sure that the conventional traditional markets are doing well, because otherwise people are not really going to look and invest into crypto, at least not to the level where it drives it to all-time high territories, which is what we need to take profits. But okay, so first thing I am looking at, this is the RSI index of Bitcoin. Now you'll notice that all of these levels up here are basically Bitcoin's previous all-time highs. So back in 2013, 2017, and 2021. This basically gives us a rough indicator of where we are in the market cycle. Are we closing in on a top or in a bottom? And you can see here, this is our 2022 bear market. We hit pretty damn low on the RSI. So these are levels below 40, which have not been recorded before. And ever since then, we are on a slow upward trajectory. And the latest data that we have is an RSI of 78 on March, which is this month. So what I'm looking at here is an RSI over 80 or 85 ideally to really start taking profits aggressively, because that means that we are approaching a market top. And anything over a 90 has historically signified the absolute top of the market. So if you want to look at this indicator, I'm going to leave all of these that I'm going to show you in the description below, and you can check them out yourself. But like I said, 78 currently. Anything above 80, 85, I'm starting to slowly take profits, because I don't want to be stuck in a market that is going like this from 80 to 61 in, what is this, like 1 month? Yes. So that's the first thing. What's the next thing? Well, crypto fear and greed, this is fairly popular by now, but also another rule that you can make is you can sell on days where greed is above 85 or 90. That's going to give you obviously the best returns, but normally you can find a chart of this. I think also, I don't have it here, but you can find a chart of how it has moved throughout time. And you will notice in days, wait, let me just find that right now. So this is the fear and greed index, but on a chart. And you will notice in days around the top, you can see here you've been consistently in greed, which is over 90 since November 2020 until what is like February. So that's almost 4 months, 3 to 4 months of consistent greed. That's gonna tell you that this is pretty much the top. And right now you can see we've just recently hit highs. And if we sustain these over time, that's gonna give you a good indicator that we are approaching a top. Another metric, this one has been consistently very accurate, and this is the MVRV Z-score. The Z-score has been consistently over a number of 4 or 5, right around Bitcoin market top. So this is the 2017 cycle. You can see it hit, well, this is like a 9, I believe, at its peak. And in 2021, it also hit 5, 6, and I think 7 at one point. Here on this chart, anything above a 5 is gonna give you a very certain sell sign. And you can correlate this obviously with the price of Bitcoin on top. But right now we are at a 2.54. So that tells us we are right about halfway as far as this metric is concerned. Still nothing too crazy, but me personally, I'm looking to take profits on anything above 3.5. So the moment to start taking profits is fast approaching. This is the Bitcoin rainbow halving chart. This also is a good indicator of where we are in the cycle. This is a price regression, obviously. So over time, you will see this Bitcoin moving within a range, and blue usually means that it's undervalued. Green means a reasonable price. Yellow is getting hot. Orange is overheating, and red is really crazy. So tracking what Bitcoin does within these price lines is useful, and these dotted lines here are the halvings. So you can see what Bitcoin has done previously before each halving. And normally it usually takes 4 or 5 months until Bitcoin starts hitting all-time highs. So after the halving, that means we're getting a timeline somewhere around the end of the year. But for this year, if we really get into the red, that means Bitcoin could reach up to 300K this year. Whether or not that's going to happen, I personally don't think it's likely, but you know, this is Bitcoin. It does all kinds of crazy things. So yeah, this is another useful indicator for the market. Of course, like I said, I'm not gonna sell my Bitcoin. I'm just looking at Bitcoin to give me an indicator of how and where we are in terms of the market cycle and the potential top, because I do want to sell my altcoins at a relative top. I can't hit the exact top, obviously, but I want to get the biggest chunk possible in the middle. And of course, if I do try to hit the exact top, that's going to cost me because I'm going to lose money. So my advice to you is start taking profits. Even if you think it's early, it's better to do that than to really hold out until the last moment, because then chances are you're not going to do very well. Then the next thing, stock to flow. This is the old stock to flow by Plan B. He has revised it into the new model, which is a lot more bullish. But, well, this one is not showing me a red dot yet, but we have hit a red dot here on the chart, which means that the bull market is officially started. And according to Plan B, he has here a year-end projection for this year, also around 300,000 for Bitcoin, which is absolutely insane. I don't think we'll be hitting that, but even if we do get it close, that still is incredibly crazy for the price of Bitcoin, and it's going to mean wild things for altcoins. So this is something also that you can look at. The current price of the model is suggesting 124,000 as a top for the current time. After the halving, of course, it starts to increase much faster. Another major indicator that we're reaching a market top is exactly how much is the interest in the Bitcoin search term on Google, because that means that we're having a lot of inexperienced retail investors which are Googling the asset, obviously, and potentially downloading any apps, which we'll take a look at later. But that gives us a top because that means peak retail interest means top for the market of crypto. And you can see in 2021 how high it got, and in 2019, 2021, and now currently we are also about, well, beneath halfway, so we're not really seeing that much activity. We can zoom it in for the last 90 days. There was a peak right here, and this was the peak around the announcement of the ETFs. This was the recent peak that Bitcoin was closing in on all-time highs, and after that, boom, interest went down. So we're looking for this to really go crazy once the top is in, because then you'd have, like I said, peak retail interest. Another peak retail interest indicator is whether or not Coinbase, the app, is the top ranking app on the App Store. When that happens, that has always been pretty much a perfect signal that we have reached the top of this crypto market. And you can see, you can follow this bot on Twitter, basically posts daily updates on the ranking of the Coinbase app on the App Store. It shows you that currently the position is number 44 of all apps and number 4 in finance. So you can go down and see before we have been on a very steady uptrend for this. Just basically 2 days ago, the app was number 162. Yesterday, 44. Today, 51. So this is really trending upwards, and if it hits close to 1 or 1, another sell sign. This is really an indicator of the overall market. So this is also the S&P. This is the level of margin debt. Usually when we hit high margin debt, that means the market, the S&P in this case, is topping. But this we're not really looking at that much because the statistic has not been updated since January. And the levels of margin debt are going to be low just because the interest on debt in general is very high. So people are staying away from leverage. Margin debt is always more of an accurate metric when interest rates are low, which is not our current situation right now. Another Bitcoin metric, the P cycle top indicator. So these are two of the moving average lines. So the 350 daily moving average and the 101 daily moving average. And you can see that every time these lines have crossed together, this has also signaled a top. That has happened in 2018. That has happened again in 2021. Every time these lines converge aggressively, like here, this is pretty close to a top. So we are looking here again whether or not these lines are converging and are getting close to sticking together or crossing over, because that's also going to signal a very overheated market and top. So take profits. Yet another one. Here is the Bitcoin long-term power law. This is very similar to the rainbow halving metric. And you can see that the bottom line is basically the bottom price. It has pretty much never went below that. And it has very shortly went above the purple line in 2014. So anything between this range is going to give us a price, and this model itself is also predicting, well, upwards of 300K in the end of the year. But again, that's not really going to happen unless the S&P and the regular market stay around all-time high levels. So if we hit a recession economically in general, then all of this is basically cancelled. So yeah, we can see if we zoom this in, we are right about the green line, which is the middle. This model is giving us a price of around 74, 75K. And the top currently, again, around 300. The bottom, not less than 26. If we are moving between these lines in an upward trajectory, that's a great sign. But the closer we get to this purple line, the more you want to think about taking profits on your crypto. That's really all that I'm looking at. That's a lot of things that I'm looking at. I hope I'll leave all the links in the description below so you can check them out yourself. If this video has given you value, please give it a like. Please share it because it helps out this very small channel. And I thank you very much for watching. Oh, and one more thing. My personal rule to sell is whenever we start hitting, I have basically set a value for each of these indicators. So here, above 3.5, on the RSI above 85. Whenever we start hitting those numbers, I'm going to be selling basically 1/5 of my altcoin holdings into USD. If any of those are having a good ratio in relation to Bitcoin, I might flip them into Bitcoin instead. But really, I want to get rid of all of my altcoins before this bull run is over. So slowly, I'm going to be flipping 1/5, sell whenever I hit the target. 1 month later, if we're still in that territory, sell, 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 sell slowly in fifths. So 20% of my portfolio in one chunk, then 20% later, then 20% again. And I'm going to slowly start doing that after we have hit basically 10% on top of the all-time high, which is about 75, 76K in Bitcoin, I think. That is when I start taking profits. Of course, I won't catch the exact whole bull market, but that's never the goal when you're doing these things, because really capturing the whole movement is impossible. You just want to take as big chunk as you can out of the middle, take your profits, move on with your life, enjoy your life, have fun. So yeah, that's my strategy. I hope this has been of some value to you. If it has, again, smash the like, share, and thank you so much for watching, and have a great one in your crypto. Please have a strategy, because if you don't, you're not going to leave with profits in this bull market. That's it. Bye-bye.